What's good, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are gonna speak about the ping pong strategy, as I call it. Now, simply, what is this strategy? To briefly explain, it is just a lower time frame internal structure trading system, which could be very confusing if you don't know what you're doing. But if you know what you're doing, it could be pretty useful, as you know, sometimes waiting for higher time frame POIs could take a long time. It could take several hours, several days, etc. So that's why I'd like to use the ping pong strategy. So what this is we start with a 15-minute. What do we see? We identify, we have bullish structure. We see we have a nice break of structure. We get a demand zone left behind. We see respect of demand zone, nice little push up, break of structure yet again. And then we have another demand zone right here. We see the price comes back, right? It breaks structure, pulls back, respects the demand zone. But what does it do? It reacts from this supply and then breaks structure to the downside. So how could you play this in, right? So what we would see is on the 1 minute is that this 50-minute supply has reacted from somewhere else, right? So what this supply does is it reacts from here, and then what you simply do is inside the 1 minute you look for confirmation, right? And the confirmation here would be something like this. We would have had something like this, right? That would be the confirmation. And so what happens is you break to the upside, you have your first break of structure here, then you break of structure to the downside, right? And then here you leave behind a nice supply zone, right? So essentially the break of structure is this, right? It happens right here, and then the retest is what's gonna come here towards this supply zone, and that's where you take the sell. Although the higher time frame is bullish, when given nice confirmation, as in we are in a higher time frame POI, as in 15-minute or 30-minute or any structure, we see that price fails to break, respects the demand, but it fails to break the supply, and it gives even more confirmation to sell. It could give confirmation inside this supply, that also works. Based off that, you could take a 1 minute sell towards the 50-minute demand, right? Or you could just take the low. But since this demand would be used as liquidity, aka inducement for early buyers, you would just target the next demand. And once you have sold towards that demand, what happens next is that you see traders there, they identify this as a break of structure in the 50-minute, they want to come bearish. But what we see is that this was just purely a smart money trap, which we identify by liquidity, and we see that, okay, price comes back into this demand zone. Now it's time to look for 1 minute buys, right? So we have taken a sell here and a buy here. So we are doing ping pong, right? We went from this liquidity towards this liquidity. Now we're going back to the upper liquidity. So that's two trades in approximately, let's say, 30 minutes. And if given correct confirmation, and if used as correct confirmation, this would be very beneficial for us, because we could have nice trades within not a big of a span of time, right? So what we see is, again, 1 minute confirmation model as shown here. We have to get, let me redraw that real quick. What we would see is right here, price pulls down, do something like this. And on this retest, we go to enter from this demand zone. We see the price pulls in, and then boom, price shoots up towards our higher time frame liquidity. Even taking this demand supply liquidity could be possible. But what we also could see that the price just takes this high, which this could also be extra inducement. So you always have to be careful. This could just be an inducement yet again. So price could come, take out those highs, react from this supply, and you ping pong once again to the downside, right? So essentially you did break to the downside, you use this as inducement, as smart money trap for early sellers. You take profit here, you look for 1 minute sells. What do? This time you respect this demand zone. So what do you see? Boom, you have liquidity here, you ping pong, right? You come back all the way down here, and once you do that, what happens is you trade in a range, right? And of course the range can break out, it's normal, but that's where the 1 minute continuations come in play. So when you're trading in a range, as in today was pretty much a range, and I will show live examples of this as well. As you see, today was a range. Could have been a nice ping pong session today, which we did. But as you guys can see, this is like the plain basic example. Gonna move out to the charts and show you guys a little bit easier. So coming to the live chart, what do we see? We break structure to the downside. We know that we are in a bearish scenario here. We have bearish price action, but we are trading in a little bit of a range right here. So what do we see? We have this supply zone left behind. The supply zone reacts from this demand supply zone right there. But we also have a nice little demand zone left behind. So essentially we're just looking for two sides, either give that confirmation to short or buy to either side, right? So on the 1 minute, what do you see? You see a nice break above, You see a nice little break below. So you're looking for this supply zone to look for a potential sell. Then we're going to look for price to pull back into our POI, which it does exactly perfectly. And then you would have taken a sell right here, stops to be those highs, and then you're just going to target the demand zone right here. Just going to patiently wait. Price even comes to retest once again, gives confirmation once again. So this is double confirmation as I've shown you previously. Price pulls back into this supply zone, breaks structure here, comes back, gives you a nice little chalk flip yet again, then comes for that retest right here. Perfect execution. Then actually price melts through. So what could happen is that your 15-minute demand zone does not hold, which is normal, right? So what do you see? You see that price action is actually not giving any confirmation for buys, meaning that you wouldn't even look for buys at this point. You would just stick with the bearish scenario, or you would have had to break those highs, which we didn't. And now what do you see? We see that we are breaking lower, so we're just going to take the continuation now. So you stop the ping pong, you look for continuations. But what do? You have to be aware. You have to be aware of high time frame zones, because whenever you come into a higher time frame zone, for example, this 1 hour demand zone here, we don't want to be buying selling in this demand zone. So whenever you're doing ping pong, you want to be very aware of the higher time frame space, because if the higher time frame is coming towards the demand zone, you want to be a little bit more conservative, because 1 hour demand zone is going to overrule a 1 minute demand zone for 100% sure. So that's why you always got to be short. So what do you see now? Price comes inside your POI, does not give any confirmation, that's why you don't enter. Simple as that. What do you see? Supply gets broken through very nicely. So what you would look at is this demand zone that breaks supply for a possible buy position right here. So this would be your entry. You had the stops with the low. Where you're ping ponging to, you are ping ponging again to the supply zone. You could use all of this as inducement actually. So this supply zone would be your target. So that would be another trade, right? Now you get stopped out, which is normal, happens to all of us. So that's you always have wins and losses, which is okay. So what do you see? We see that price actually did give an entry, which I mean, it did mitigate this POI, which I would personally really call a POI, but it did give that chalk flip, give it that retest, and then gives that meltdown. As you guys can see, as I said, since you didn't get any confirmation from that demand here, which personally I would only look for 5 to 15 minute demand zones. 1 minute demand zones are valid, but they have to react off anything. Now this is kind of the ping pong thing what we have going on. I'm gonna try to get a 15-minute zone here. For example, let's go on the 5-minute and see if we have a zone here, because it'll be easier to showcase. For example, we have this zone right here. What do we see? We see that price significantly, it breaks below these lows. I mean, it sweeps the lows. Now we're gonna look for a 3-minute POI to see if we could, we have a nice little 3-minute POI right here. Price mitigates that POI, as you guys can see. So now what do you see? You're gonna try to sell towards where? Towards that POI right there. So actually price did give a significant entry right there. It did sweep the low, it even goes lower. As you guys can see, coming into that 1 hour POI right now. So what are you looking for 1 hour buys, right? Again, what do you see? Ping pong as well. You see price comes into this 3-minute POI. Let's see if it gives a confirmation. It gives a nice little confirmation. It gives a nice little retest. This is the trade you would be taking. And where are you targeting? Again, you're just targeting that demand. If this was a higher time frame POI, you would be targeting that POI, but it does not come here. So what does price do? It actually mitigates this demand, induces traders. You would not be in break even here, because I don't see a point going break even here, because we broke structure. Price could have easily retested that supply, which it did. Again, ping pong. If you were to buy from this demand, again, ping pong. This is just ping pong, up and down, up and down, up and down from the valid zones. You always got to be sure that they are valid zones. Now what do we see? We see that price leaves behind a nice little 1-minute zone after coming to retest that 1 hour zone. So what do we had? We had like a 4-hour, I think, and a 1 hour loss, and then we had a 4-hour win again. So as you guys can see, those are very beautiful trades. What this price do comes exactly back to a higher time frame POI here, as we expected. Now you're looking for confirmation to sell. Again, purely ping pong. Let's just wait for confirmation here. You get a nice break of structure. You don't get the significant sweep, but This breakout structure looks nice. I would personally look to sell from here. Again, you're gonna look to ping pong again, probably at 5-minute demand zone or something like that. Personally would be looking for this higher time frame zone, but that would be your trade. That would be a nice little 5.7 R. So let's see. So you get filled right there, as you guys can see. I mean, yeah, you kind of get filled. I think you do. Even if you didn't, price does go significantly in your direction. At this point, you would even break even. So this should be, I mean, it's not the best hour to trade anyway, but this should fairly move to, well, it goes break even, I guess, which is okay. Now what does price do? It just induce traders to come into the higher time frame POI. So you're simply gonna wait for that POI to get tagged. Or you could even look for this POI. And why is this POI valid? Because we still mitigated this POI. We just used this as liquidity, and that's why this POI is still valid. Again, purely ping pong. You also mark out this POI. I could just show the POIs getting rejected and just move, right? Okay, well, this is live markers, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of the whole idea about it. I'm just gonna go back on the 50-minute, and I'm just gonna go to a ping pong range, as in right here. And I'm just going to show you the validness of the POIs, right? So I know that this POI is valid, obviously. This POI is also valid. So I'm just going to wait, right? Just going to see what price does. Price tags POI, right? The tags POI gives you a nice trade, right? If you enter here, that's like, I mean, that's not the best. That's like 15 pips. That's not the best trade. But now what do we see? We see that price, you know, breaks, comes back here. So let's see if that POI is valid. As you guys can see, that POI is kind of valid. Did it give entry? Let's see on the 1 minute, did it give any entries? It did not. Matter of fact, did not give any entries. That's why confirmations are always very, very important. As you guys know, I use the chalk flip confirmation model, which I've discussed many times in my streams, and again, shows the validness of the POI. Now we're coming back to the demand. Watch it ping pong up from the demand now. Well, I'm not saying it should every time, but most likely it is going to be. And then inside that POI, you're just going to simply find confirmation models. Again, see this, it goes to super low, but then comes back. Now let's see if this supply stays valid, right? Just ping pong from demand to supply. You have a demand here, nice mitigation. Come to supply, nice mitigation. See, just ping pong, 15-minute structure. All of this happens in 1 day, right? All of this happened in 1 day, even less than a day. So as you guys can see, that's a very nice strategy. Of course, the very, very important thing is you have to be aware of higher time frame structure. You have to be aware of higher time frame demand or supply zones, and you have to be aware of the confirmations you use. You have to have all the confirmations you need. You need to, you know, statistically have a nice data analysis of this, if this is profitable for you. Personally, this is profitable for me and for my students as well. We make sure that we use the correct confirmations at the correct time, take the correct zones. Timing is also very important. All of these things matter with and go hand in hand with each other. So that's gonna be it for the video. I hope this video made sense. I hope this video, you know, was nice. If you are still unaware of what I'm trying to say, make sure to watch the trading playlist. Make sure to watch every single video and the live streams, and you will get a better grasp and a better understanding of how I trade and how I see the markets, which will also give you an eye on the confirmations I use. Nonetheless, this is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something new today. So make sure to, you know, you could always rewatch a few times, but yeah, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, whatever, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.